Hi friends, Mindy here. I have a process video for you for day 10 of Pleasing in His Sight. I was not going to film this, but when I opened up my Bible here to start journaling, I realized that I'm coming up on the backside of a page that I have already done, and it's really crinkly and just kind of wrinkled, and you can see the lines from the back, and I thought this might be a good opportunity to give you an idea for what you can do when you come up against a page like this. Where I know if I were to add watercolor or whatever, you'd be able to see all of those lines from the backside. Like the water would just settle in weird places and you'd see lines and different things. This is also something that you could do if you have some bleed through on one of your pages. And so I thought I would just go ahead and turn on the camera and show you how I'm going to kind of combat this particular page, because it's pretty crinkly. I don't mind the crinkles, but because I wanted to journal here in Hebrews, I need to just kind of deal with it because that other page is just so textured. So the first thing I'm doing is going through my pattern paper here, and I wanted to get this film strip pattern paper. I'm actually going to use this for my title. It's kind of what I did similarly on the back side of this, but with the stencil. But I just kind of like that that idea, and also everything that I'm going to be doing, I need to be able to kind of do outside of my Bible and then kind of glue in. So I'm going through here and I'm pulling out various pieces of the paper pack that you can get that coordinate with the kit, and then I'm going through and pulling out some scraps from other pages that I've done, and I'm going to use these just to create one big layer in the backdrop. And so instead of doing anything to the background itself, I'm not adding any color or anything to the actual Bible page. I'm going to be just creating a background out of these pattern papers. So what you'll see me doing here is I am just going to be tearing these. You could do these, in straight pieces if you wanted to. I just like the torn edge look. So I'm going through here looking at these different papers, and I'm going to try to use a variety of colors and just like more subtle backgrounds and busier backgrounds and all of this. And so I'm just using up some of the scraps. This is another great way to make your supplies kind of stretch a little bit farther too, is, as I'm working through my kits, I always save all of the scraps. I just have a little envelope that I stick them all in. And then, toward the end, you could do something like this. You can get an entire page, an entire background out of basically just your scraps. So I'm just going in here and just kind of layering these how I think I might want them to go. I'm leaving one piece, that floral piece is kind of my bigger piece, and that's going to kind of anchor all of the other little pieces. And so I'm just tearing them in various lengths and various widths, and just trying to get a good representation of all of the colors in these papers, and also something that's going to have some balance as well. So you'll see me kind of just fidgeting with this a lot, but this is just kind of the process, and I thought it might be helpful. So I'm trying to, I have that really busy floral background, and then I have the really busy camera background, and so I'm kind of trying to break that up with some of these more subtle backgrounds. So I have like the blue with the crosses on it, and then just that solid yellow and that kind of stripe, and just kind of varying those. I also want to make sure that the height of each of the strips is different. I don't want it to be just one kind of straight line across. I want this eventually to read kind of as just one piece, but I want it to also have all of those kind of jagged edges as well. So here I'm just tearing down some of this wood grain looking one, and I'm going to tuck that in as well, just to kind of have like a neutral piece in there that's going to give an anchor a little bit and give your eye kind of a little bit of a rest, as well as your eye kind of moves across the page. And then I will just kind of mess around with this, just layering things, moving things around. You can see I have like this little stripe piece is much shorter, so I'm going to tuck that behind the floral. I have some that are over the floral. I have some that are, just behind each other. And then I have the big green piece and the wood grain piece are similar in size, in length. Not exactly, but they're pretty close. And then some of the other pieces are also similar to each other. So just trying to really kind of vary that. I don't know really if that makes sense, but and then just trying to add some interest. And then I'm kind of putting this yellow one in here to sort of break up all of the wood grain one as well. So it'll have kind of at the top and the bottom. And then again, just moving this around. This is kind of a fiddly little part of this project, and you have to, just do it how it looks good to your own eye. Everybody is kind of different, and so I'm just using my scissors here to hold everything in place while I decide what else this needs. I'm just looking through some more of my scraps, and I felt like it needed something a little bit darker here over on the right, so I'm using that dark blue print, and again, just tearing a piece. You can see I'm trying to make sure across the top of this section that those are all at different heights. And then I pulled out a journaling card that I'm going to use, and I want to use this flashcard as well, but I have to figure out how I can get that tucked in. At this point, I kind of thought maybe I would tuck it in the papers, but I didn't really like how that looked, so I'm just going to set that to the side for now. I have my journaling card there as well, and now I'm just going to go through. I realized I had only done the torn edge on one side of this big floral piece, so I'm going to go ahead and tear off both edges of that, so there's not like a straight line. The only paper that has a straight edge is the left side of that green paper, and I did that because it's going to be right up against the edge of the Bible, so it'll just have a nice clean look moving from the left on in. And so now what I'm going to do is I am going in with my archival ink in ground espresso, and I distressed every piece of paper that is going to be on this page, just to kind of help define them a little bit more and just, age them a little bit. And then I realized I didn't do this blue one here. And now I'm going to try to reassemble this the way that I had it before I took it all apart to distress all the pieces. One tip that you can do would be to take a picture of it before you pull it all apart, and then you can just kind of lay it back down the way that you want to. But I was using my phone to film, so I couldn't take a picture, but I think I got it pretty close. Anyway, so I'm just going back through here now that all of my pieces are distressed, and I'm going to go and really fine tune how everything is going to be on this page. And I will kind of tweak it as I go as well. And at this point, I realized I needed to fix that one edge of that dark blue paper also. So you'll see me again. I feel like I'm just repeating myself, but I'm really just kind of fidgeting everything. I just want to make sure that there's no pieces that are on the same plane, if that makes sense. And I'm trying to decide where I want this journaling card. I kind of wanted it centered on that big piece, so I'm having to adjust where that big floral piece is, and I think I have this pretty much where I want it. So I'm holding everything in place, and I'm just going to come in with my Barely Arts Precision Glue. This has the really fine tip, like needle tip, and I'm just going to run a little bit of glue in each little section to kind of hold everything together. It's not a permanent solution, but just while I'm working on it. And I felt like I needed a little bit more color over here on the right, because that dark blue was just really dark. So I wanted to add a little bit more yellow, so I'm adding a piece of that over here, and then just gluing that again to this whole cluster as one unit. And then I'm just going to go through, and right now I haven't glued, you can see, anything to the page. I just have glued the pieces roughly to each other. And then I'm going to come in and just, I felt also at this point like I needed something kind of down at the bottom to sort of balance all those pieces at the top. So I took this kind of neutral, and I just tore a really thin strip of that, and I'm going to put that down at the bottom, and that just kind of helped to balance that from top to bottom to my eye anyway. And now I'm going to use this journaling card, and I wrote some notes on there, and I'm just going to go ahead and glue this down. I know this is where I want this card, so I felt confident in doing that, but I did only put glue right in the middle so that I could tuck things in here behind it if I wanted to. So I decided to go ahead and tuck this flash card that said sacrifice on it. And then I pulled out a couple die cuts, one of the cameras and one of the little Polaroids. I just felt I wanted to kind of soften those harsh edges of those two square pieces. So, and then when I got the piece up at the top for the title, I realized I just felt like it needed a little bit more blue because I had covered up basically most of the blue when I put that flashcard down. So I added another little bit of that light blue just right over there on the right edge. And here's where I'm going to glue down the camera. I did trim that down, just some of the white, and then I also inked the edge of that and these little Polaroid stack here that I'm just kind of tucking in there. That's just kind of breaking up some of that really busy pattern paper as well. And now I'm going to work on my title, and so I am using the Delight Alpha. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, Delightful Alpha. And they're just a little bit bigger than these squares, but I'm going to be stamping in black, so it's okay, they're not that much bigger. So I just stamped my title, Praise, and that's going to go across the top. And then I just went ahead and distressed just the edge of the Bible page just to give it a little bit more interest. And now I'm going to start gluing these pieces down. So I'm just gluing down my little title strip here across the top, just holding that down. And then now I'm going to finally adhere this big cluster all as one piece. So I'm going to make sure I have a good bit of glue. I want to make sure I'm going across all of the pieces and all of the layers and everything. And because the page is already so textured and wrinkly, I want to make sure I have a good amount of glue here. And so I'm going to just kind of tuck this in where I want. I have just a second here to kind of position it the way that I want. And then I'm actually going to close my Bible and let that dry. But Barely Art glue doesn't take too long to dry, but I just felt like having the pressure on it would maybe hopefully keep this page just a little bit flatter. And then I'm also trying to tuck in the number of the day somehow, and so I'm just using the little number stickers that came in the kit. I'm just kind of tucking that right there at the top on the right side, just to kind of fill in that little bit of empty space. And then I'm using my date stamp down at the bottom. And then, excuse me, I'm going to work on my cards. And at this point, I realized I want to add a couple scriptures in here, and then I turned off my camera so I could write out the scriptures and forgot to turn my camera back on. So I'm just going to do a real quick flip through here of what I did. I added my tab that says day 10, and then I wrote out a scripture here on this wood grain paper, and then I added a little camera here, and on the back side I wrote out one of the scriptures and put one of the other flashcards for this day, and then this is the last card for day 10. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and until next time, bye!